Welcome to the discussion. Today we're diving into CECOT, a symbol of modern injustice and severe human rights erosion in Latin America.
I'm ready. So, CECOT, built in El Salvador, has become notorious, right?
Exactly. It's like this massive detention center that holds up to 40,000 inmates, though its notoriety comes less from its size and more from the inhumane conditions and the reasons people end up there, often deported by the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, many of these individuals were Venezuelan migrants seeking asylum or people with only tenuous links to alleged gangs.
Precisely. In March 2025, over 200 individuals were deported to CECOT. Individuals who might have, had barely any real evidence against them. It was part of a hardline policy under President Bukele designed to intimidate and deter gang activity.
That policy really seems to backfire in terms of human decency, doesn't it?
Absolutely. CECOT isn't just a prison. It's a dehumanizing statement. Detainees are frequently stripped, chained, and forced to live in overcrowded cells for 23 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're denied even the most basic comforts like sunlight, fresh air, medical attention, or legal representation.
Wow, 23 hours is almost a full day in confinement. That sounds just appalling.
Right. It's like a deliberate act of intimidation designed to break down a person's identity. The few leaked images show inmates so closely packed that they appear almost crushed, heads bowed, bodies bruised, many even emaciated.
Mm-hmm. Those conditions really do defy any notion of humane treatment.
And it doesn't stop with physical confinement. Testimonies reveal a pattern of abuse, beatings, torture during intake, lack of food and water, even denial of proper sanitation and health care. Reports even mention prolonged solitary confinement for minor infractions. It's systemic.
Right. So it's not just an isolated incident here, it's practically institutionalized cruelty.
Exactly. And the international response has been swift. NGOs, legal bodies, and human rights organizations have condemned CECOT, calling it a modern gulag and demanding accountability from governments that support it.
Yep, it has, and understandably so. When international organizations like the UN say these conditions likely violate conventions against torture, it sends a clear message.
And the legal framework behind it is equally disturbing. The deportations, carried out even under the banner of national security, were justified using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a law that's like centuries out of step with modern due process.
Exactly. Hold on a minute, though. How can a law from 1798 be applied in today's world to deport people, sometimes even legal residents? Isn't that a bit of a legal stretch?
That's a great point. It is a legal stretch, a complete bypass of contemporary constitutional protections. This act is being used to deport individuals, many of whom were not even charged with a crime in the U.S., into a facility with known abuses.
Right, so it's like using an ancient law to justify modern authoritarian practices.
Exactly. One stark example is a Maryland resident who was forcibly deported despite a clear court order blocking his removal. This really illustrates the erosion of legal safeguards and the tragic shift toward lawlessness in the name of public safety.
Yes. It's deeply concerning how convenience and a desire for security are overriding basic human rights.
Yeah, it's disturbing. CECOT has become a monument to inhumanity, a symbol that says governments are willing to sacrifice democratic values on the altar of expediency.
And that brings up the moral collapse aspect, doesn't it? I mean, how do we reconcile public safety with these extreme abuses?
Exactly. It's a moral paradox. On one hand, governments claim they're protecting society from gang violence. On the other, they're essentially creating an environment of terror to suppress dissent. It's like strapping people into a system designed to break their spirit under the guise of security.
Mm-hmm, indeed. But don't you think some might argue that extreme measures are necessary in times of crisis? I mean, isn't there a risk of something like that in dangerous regions?
I hear that argument, but there's a clear line between necessary security and state-sanctioned cruelty. Using outdated legal tools as a smokescreen to justify mass deportations and inhumane detention practices is not just disproportionate, it's totally unacceptable.
I see your point. It's like trying to solve a problem by creating even bigger issues in the process.
Absolutely. The unintended consequences are staggering. Families are left in the dark, lives are shattered, and these actions undermine the very foundations of human dignity.
Definitely. And this isn't just about one country. It's affecting international relations as well. Latin America and Europe have been quick to demand explanations for this blatant disregard of due process.
Right. The global outcry has been immense. Leaders and legal scholars have labeled CECOT a legal black hole where the presumption of innocence evaporates. International bodies are warning that these practices could constitute cruel, inhumane treatment.
It's like there's no safe space left for basic human decency when legal processes are completely overridden.
Exactly, and it's a warning to us all. This whole scenario highlights how easy it is to erode democratic safeguards when fear overtakes compassion.
That's a stark reminder. I mean, if governments start outsourcing punishment to a place like CECOT, what does it say about the very fabric of our justice systems?
That's the crux of it. When prisons transition from institutions meant to rehabilitate to tools of terror, it reflects a deep moral and legal collapse. And it's not just policies, it's a systematic abuse that undermines accountability at every level.
So, in a way, CECOT stands as a monument to not only physical injustice, but to the erosion of what we consider a fair, just society.
Exactly. It's like, imagine a lighthouse that once guided you safely, but now serves as a warning to stay far away because the waters are treacherous. CECOT is that warning, signaling that when governance is perverted, humanity pays the price.
Right, absolutely. And what about the call for justice? Is there any momentum globally to hold these governments accountable? Or is it just talk?
There's definitely a push. International human rights organizations and legal experts are demanding transparency and, importantly, reforms. They're urging investigations into these abuses and an overhaul of the outdated legal justifications used for such deportations.
Yes. It sounds like a small but crucial step, reminding the world that structural accountability is essential to upholding human rights.
Exactly. It's a call to reimagine our justice systems, to ensure that security measures never trump fundamental rights again. We need to shift from a cycle of repression to one where every individual is respected and protected.
I completely agree. And while the system seems deeply entrenched right now, conversations like these are vital in sparking change.
Yes, it all comes down to raising awareness and demanding reforms. We have to make sure that institutions, especially ones as infamous as CECOT, remain under constant scrutiny so that they never become symbols of unchecked power and cruelty again.
Absolutely. This really makes you reflect on the balance of power in modern governments. When fear is used as a tool, it almost justifies the most extreme actions.
Exactly. And it challenges us to think, what kind of future are we building if human rights are continually sacrificed in the name of security? It's not just a policy failure, it's a societal failing.
Right, it calls for a global stand, holding governments accountable and showing that every person's dignity matters.
Precisely. And that's why discussions like these must continue until reforms are not only promised, but actually implemented. Each detained person, each case of abuse, is a reminder that we need to demand justice, globally and relentlessly.
Exactly, yes. And that's the takeaway. Remaining vigilant, questioning policies that compromise human dignity, and forcing accountability at every level.
Right, so let's leave listeners with that challenge. To be aware, to speak up, and to insist on a world where institutions are genuinely there to serve justice, not oppression.
Absolutely. This is more than a conversation. It's a call to action for every one of us.
Thanks for joining in on this deep dive. Let's keep questioning and rethinking the structures that shape our world.
Until next time, stay informed and stay human.